Welcome to Honest Beers. My name is Leggy, and as always, I'm joined by Walley. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm great. I'm up and about. Couple of weeks. What are we now? 15 days in. We're halfway through with no drinks.
This is Wednesday, May 15.
Yep.
We're at the halfway point.
We're going tonight, which we'll get into later, but we're going with Capital Brewing. Now, the reason I got this, a little shout out.
It's a nice looking can, by the way.
One of actually two people, our good man, Jewel Guest, and one of our favourite just people, Hammy Goodman.
Yep.
Rolls around the Capital Brewing hat.
Huge fan.
The other one is I think that I'll say this. Yep. Anybody that's met this man, I think they would be him like his top people, like just have a beer, and that's Tom Linford.
Yeah.
Cameraman Tom from the Grub Stores and that. He's one of...
He'd be happy to get that shout out.
I genuinely, he's one of my favourite...
or wherever he is at the moment.
He is one of my favourite people on the planet. Now, the reason I thought of this is that every time we've got a thing, the way I keep in contact with Tommy, anytime we can in town and that we get to see him, we got to have some drinks with him on Boxing Day, which was awesome.
Yep.
But we send each other a photo of a Negroni every time we're having a drink, and we flick a Negroni to each other. And it's funny
three
because...
times a week.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually a lot more. So he's probably wondering if I'm okay. Tommy, I'm fine. But he also used to roll the Capital Brewing hat. And so I saw that and I thought of him and I thought of Hammy and I thought, two blokes I haven't seen in a little while. And we're both big fans. So
nice. I'll take a photo of it and we'll post it from the Honest Beers Instagram so people can see what we're doing this week. But it's a very nice looking can, which we love.
And then as we get to the end of the show, I'll give my recap on that moment. But plenty to discuss.
There's heaps to discuss, as always. Look, we're only doing one episode this week. So to the listeners out there, apologies.
Jam-packed.
Apologies that you've only got our annoying voices to listen to. And, of course, Kane's dulcet tones. But no guests. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because, as you say, there is plenty to talk about. And first item that we wanted to tick off was Saturday last week. We did announce to everyone that we were going to have a bet on the Hawks and Saints game. First ever time our two teams met during the Honest Beers lifespan, I guess you could say.
Yep.
And look, firstly, congratulations to you and your Hawks, Michael. They got over the line by 5 points, which meant that I lost the bet. So just to clear that up.
Congratulations to you.
I was waiting for
Welcome.
This. Do you know what? So I posted on my personal Instagram. It was a bit of a joke because we need to say I'm buying a membership, but I'm buying a 2025 membership. I'm not actually buying one for the rest of this year. So I didn't actually buy it on Saturday night. However, I posted an image of me on the Hawthorn website perusing. And I had like 4 or 5 mates who are Hawks fans all say, welcome aboard. Like the brown and gold will look good on you sort of thing. And I was like, this feels nice.
How good is it? Like, how welcoming are we? No one's getting, everyone's...
The family club.
True family club.
Yeah,
we are.
I felt really, I don't know, I felt part of it.
Watto hit you up from Italy.
And he said, are we going to make finals? And I even said, like, yeah.
We could go on a run.
We could go on a run. You know?
Do we almost need a jumper presentation?
I think we need one.
We've got to work out number 7,
I mean, look,
obviously.
I don't have... You got Ned Reeves. I know my Hawks. Now, you don't have to... so I don't have to say this because I think you should come up with it because you're welcoming me to your club. However, I want to buy the membership in person at Waverley.
We'll be doing that.
Do we do a jumper presentation at Waverley?
Yeah, we 100% do. We'll go to Hawks Nest.
Yeah. Stand out the front of the John Kennedy statue and shake hands. Maybe Sam Mitchell could be floating around.
It's going to be amazing.
I wonder if we can get like a Hawks superstar to welcome you in. Could that be Stewie Jew?
Yeah. Oh, you mean like a legend, not a current?
We can definitely get a Hawthorn player or ex-player to do that. I'm very confident that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
If it was Stewie Jew,
I wouldn't get. Wally'd steal the jumper, wouldn't he?
Well,
imagine if he gave me 31.
Oh, he can't.
Signed.
No.
Imagine that. anyway, so just wanted to clear that up that I will be doing it, but also, as I said, just to reiterate, what I know, the Hawks, too good on the day.
Yep.
Probably could have won by more, to be honest. That's how bad St Kilda were. But the other thing we want to talk about from the footy over the weekend, Wally, we got our stat mate SGM up in the Carlton-Melbourne Thursday night game. And pretty comfortably as well, I might add. The unders hit very, very nicely, which thanks to a bit of rain in the fourth quarter because it was looking a bit dicey in the third. And then Clayton Oliver hit, Sam Walsh hit,
Sam Walsh
and Jacob
was
Wiedering
easy.
hit.
Wiedering
was
Wiedering and Walsh were fine.
Yeah.
We knew that. We were a little concerned about Oliver because he just had that feeling.
He was playing in fits and spurts.
He got caught a couple of times, but no, he did the job. So really, really good.
We
cannot wait till this week.
We've got another one, which we'll do later in the show, but it's, again, we're zeroing in on one particular game, and we've decided, it's Carlton again, but we've decided to do the Friday night game. We're going to leave... I think there's a few unknowns about Thursday night. You know, the Jeremy Cameron's not playing. The Suns are a little bit erratic. We don't know what's going to happen there. So we've left that one out. It's in Darwin as well, which is always a bit of a tricky one. So decided to leave that.
Unlike the AFL, Kano, we're going to leave Thursday night footy alone and we're not going to completely fuck up the fixture for the second half of the year. Can I just get this off my chest?
Get it off your chest.
I have been, and not one person, I have a lot of stupid things to say. I say a lot of stuff that no one cares about. I've got a lot of useless information, which my wife tells me all the time that's in my head. I understand all that. I get it.
Yep.
But the one thing not one person has argued with me on, not one person has said, well, you're completely wrong on this, is around scheduling. I've been on this.
You have been on it for
all
a while.
year. The scheduling is absolute BS. And I just wonder what's going on. You know, you take over the AFL and like these new people come in and all that, and you think, okay, they're really going to make an impact. There's something going on. I heard, I mean, I don't know, like you hear different things around broadcast. It can't be broadcast. Can't be broadcast. Channel 7's broadcast numbers are massive.
Yeah.
It's got to be something to do with Fox, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you might be right.
But the thing is this, why would you remove Thursday night footy, A, when you're giving it back, the time slot back to the NRL?
Yep.
And B, because television and attendance numbers, I believe it's number 2 time slot behind AFL, behind Friday night.
They also play Thursday finals in the first week.
Correct,
so why,
which is ridiculous. So there's something here we're not being told. We never get told anything.
No.
It's like they think we're stupid as fans. Anyway, that's all fine. Then there's those things, and then what do we have? What's the last thing we have there, Simon? Explain this to me. Taking it away means we're going to have more games overlapping again.
I know. That's the bit.
Now,
that's the bit that I can't.
I'm going to just explain this again. I'm going to say this for the millionth time. Thursday night footy game, Friday night footy game, Saturday, as near enough to 1, 4, and 7. You can have 2 games on a Saturday night. We know there's going to be overlapping Saturday night games. We're used to it. We're fine with it. Then on Sunday, have your games at the 1, the 4, and the 7, or bring back the 3:20 spot and have the 12:30 game, the 3:20 game, and the 6:30 game. Give that to Perth so they get the 4:30 afternoon game on the Sunday. Let's just do this. People are going to the footy. In the States, they literally have baseball games, professional games of baseball starting at midday on a Tuesday.
Yep.
They have NBA games and football games starting, or not football, but NBA games, basketball games starting at 10:30 p.m. on the East Coast. Like,
can I just add one on the overlap while you're hitting all the right notes here, Michael? Round 21. Let me let you adjust your eyes to this. Saturday night, there's 2 games on. They're both at the same time. They're both at 7:30. One is Collingwood Carlton.
Okay.
The other is Port Adelaide Sydney. Now, they are 4 teams that are probably going to play finals. They're 4 teams that I'd like to watch.
They could be the top
2
4.
games I'd like to watch.
That could be the top 4.
And they're on at the same time in round 21 as we're a couple of weeks out.
Give me a standalone. Where are the Hawks playing, Simon?
The Hawks are against the Giants. Actually, it's the Michael World Cup. The Giants and the Hawks on Sunday at Monaca at 1:10.
But I mean, that probably needs to be a standalone. But what else have we got? Give me another game that's
not only that, there's a Friday overlap.
There's a Friday overlap.
Geez, sorry, my phone's carked.
Okay,
so we've got the Dogs and the D's at 7:15, which is an
they
odd.
could have played one of them on Thursday.
And then we've got West Coast and Gold Coast at 8:30.
And then
we've got 1:45, 4:35, and then these 2 games.
Okay, so explain something to me. Why couldn't we just go there and looking at and for those that want to know, North Melbourne v Richmond is the first game on that day.
Yep.
So you could have put one of those games on. Let's put that as that could have been
more overlap here, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
on the Sundays a 3:20 and a 4:40.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
That basically means that there will be at any one point 6 games that are going to overlap. Not at the same time.
I don't understand. Yeah. There has to be. Can I put a quote? Can somebody please tell us what's going on here? Because I don't want to be like harsh if it's unavoidable. It's not unavoidable.
Well, look,
what are we doing?
Well,
what are we doing?
Well, like Andrew Dillon went on Dill Buckley's podcast, but I'm fairly certain, Dill probably gets some assistance from the AFL, so that's probably why he went on that safe podcast. But let's bring him on here. Let's bring Andrew Dillon on here and ask him some questions that aren't sort of premeditated and decided upon before they get into the studio, like that interview probably was.
We don't even need that. One question.
Are we starting another beef?
Andrew.
Are we starting another beef?
No, we can't. This is footy. I don't want a Portnoy-Goodell situation where we're not allowed into the grand final, Simon. But I will say this.
Find a way.
I will say this. We have one question. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's the only question.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Just have a chat to us.
What's going on?
It seems to affect cross-code, though, because the NRL look like they're pulling back from Thursday night games as well.
Come on, mate. What are we doing here? I've
loved the Thursday night footy experiment.
It feels like Friday,
which is great. Have we got an Illuminati in Australia?
I don't know what's going on.
Is there something going on? Have the NBL usurped all the power and they're going to start dominating Thursday nights or something? Is the A-League making a comeback game? Who is going to fill the Thursday night sports?
Is the A-League even on at the moment?
Is Super Rugby back?
It is. The A-League, is that the grand final? Is that soon?
The A-League's in summer. The A-League's a summer.
No, I think the grand final's soon.
Yeah, very soon.
No.
I think Melbourne Victory played Melbourne City a couple of weeks ago in a form of final.
A-League is 100% a summer competition.
I
guess they're probably coming back to the end.
No, I reckon you'll find that the grand final
I used to really like the A-League.
Kane looks it up for us.
Yeah, we're up to the semis.
Yeah, there you go. A-League's still going. That might be why. No, it's not going to be that. Look,
there you go.
Well said, Walley. I think there's a few questions that need to be addressed, and I think a lot of footy fans and fans of this pod will agree with you.
Frustrates me.
Look, moving on, it's a bit of a sad note here. Just
you get serious for a minute.
It was more. We found out on Friday. It occurred last Thursday. Obviously, the tragic news of Cam McCarthy's passing, and I think we just wanted to bring it up. I think just in general, just to shine a light on obviously how terrible and sad. And I think it's a good reference point here. Like, this is obviously a very male dominated podcast in terms of you and I are both males, and I'm assuming our audience is predominantly male as well. So I think
every guest we've had's a male.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good opportunity to just sort of say, look, check in on your mates. Don't just ask how you're going, follow up. But also I think just be a little bit kinder to each other as well, just as we make it through. And the reason why I also wanted to talk about this is I saw a headline when Cam McCarthy passed, and it was along the lines of forgotten AFL player dies. And I just thought, I'm not going to list the publication, I'm not going to list the journo, but I saw it and it just irked me. And I just thought that that's the kind of coverage we don't need. And that's probably, not saying that's the reason why some of these players get lost, but when they are in those situations, to know that they're viewed as forgotten players and all this kind of stuff it's a bit sickening and a little bit gross. So I just wanted to kind of table that as well in terms of I think coverage can be better. Like
100% it can. A young man lost his life. Is actually what it was, and just calling out.
We shouldn't be looking at clicks. We shouldn't be punching down. I just think I think that's sort of tremendously disappointing.
Do you know what would be amazing in this world, and it won't happen because there's just too many people that just worry about that and really do not give a shit about anything that they're writing about or any of the feelings that people have, is if just all journos and reporters, and they go, do you know what? Anytime anybody passes, forever what, let's just have a really straightforward, across all publications, we do a really straightforward, factual, respectful post, which is RIP, the name, and maybe a line.
Yeah.
So everyone knows that they've passed, and that's it, and then you can go and read about that person.
That'd be nice.
How good would that be?
It would be nice.
I mean,
it's a classy way
obviously, it would be incredibly classy, Simon, and it would actually be respectful to the families and to all the people that have lost and the person that's passed. But unfortunately, Simon may not get as many clicks.
Yeah, that's the issue. And I think, on the whole, I think generally speaking, the tragic events were reported pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think most of it was really good, but that just irked me and I thought it needed to be brought up. But hey, look, you can go to the Herald Sun and we can see what Nadia Bartel awarded the Fashion Festival. So that's exciting.
It's important.
Also, Wally, we've got to move on because we've decided to table. We're getting closer to the the midpoint of the AFL season. And we made some predictions on the podcast, some predictions away from the podcast, but I think a lot of people know the camps that we're sitting in at the moment. So I figured it was a good opportunity to check in on just some of the AFL futures, predominantly the premiership market, our respective tips, and also the Brownlow, and then also just discuss the race a little bit more generally around, some of the teams that are up there at the moment. Has anyone surprised us? Both going up, going down, and just kind of where we see the teams and some of those big awards. So we'll start off with you. I think every single human in Australia knows who you backed for the Premiers, but just
whether they want to or not.
If you wanted to bring up your prediction there and just how you're feeling. They've played 9 games and I believe they're 6-3.
Yeah, I'm obviously on the Orange Tsunamis, Simon.
Yep.
I did avoid having to pick up a third membership with the Saints not winning, which is good. Well, I'm okay. So you don't win premierships in May, obviously. That being said, Sydney look awesome. I think that we saw Carlton have the little dip. They looked back against Melbourne. Melbourne are really good. You see all these teams. I was saying that I think that there's probably 6 to 8 that could be a part of the top 4 and therefore in the grand final, and probably 12 to 14 that can play finals, which is insane this many rounds in.
Yeah.
So the only ones I'm sort of writing... Well, I'll tell you the teams I think that can win the flag. GWS and Sydney, which I sort of said pre-season, like I think an all-Sydney grand final is on the cards. That's and I'm still very happy with that. So I think they can. Melbourne, I think that, and Collingwood's best, and Carlton's as well, and Geelong's, from what we've seen. Yep. You have to include those. The other 2 teams for me that I see being there deeper, that could be there, but I just don't see them winning the grand final or being in the grand final. But it's hard to ignore Port and Brisbane due to games at home and what we see every year. More and more, I think what you said was actually brilliant, where you spoke about Brisbane, how many years they've been up. What's this, 6th crack at it now?
This is the 6th year, yep.
6th year, it usually drops away. I know that with the Hawks, they got 5, and then we're talking about one of the best teams of the... Probably the best longevity team since the Brisbane team.
Yep. Well, they're 3 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they were a prelim before, and they were.
And the 08 doesn't count,
a prelim and a grand final.
And 08 doesn't count. That was years
before. Yeah, exactly. There was like half a dozen players that came. But like, I look at that and go, even that team, that 6th year, they scraped into the top 4, and straight sets out.
It was 16.
So we're talking about that sort of team that still had a lot of talent. So I go, what are Brisbane going to do? Port is the same old story we see, but the win in Geelong was huge.
Good win.
And draw helps them a little bit moving forward. So I think that there's a lot there. For me, I'm comfortable. If I had do you want to sell your ticket? I wouldn't be selling my ticket now for GWS at all. I'm very happy being on them. And if someone said, who do you think? I would still go with them, because I think that we're getting that dip, which will happen. They'll bounce back. The 6 and 3 isn't... I'm okay with 6 and 3. Like, it's not a... But yeah, I'm fine with it. I can put a line through the last 2, and the Carlton game was just in the last little bit. They've had some when players go down, injuries happen. Like the Carlton one was the Taylor and Canelio game, if you remember.
So they both went down against the Saints. And
Saints, they missed against that. Sorry, the Saints, and that was why it wasn't overly impressive. They go down the hedge drop and then they miss, and then you've got to adjust and things like that. So it's... Yeah, I look at all of that and go, all right, we're getting back to full strength. I think they're going to be fine. Sydney's looking good, but can I be honest? I think when they're all up and going, I think Melbourne's the biggest threat.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I had Geelong and Melbourne as my 2. They're the 2 that I've also backed financially. I think Cats the last couple of weeks, not as good, but look, they've got to sort some stuff out. Tom Hawkins is obviously almost irrelevant at the moment, so Chris Scott's going to have to try and find a way to feed him in there. I think he will. It's just going to be interesting to see there. And then, there's probably a few players the last couple of weeks that have been down in form. Mark Blitzavs is 32, and they ask him to basically ruck, tag, run around, do everything.
Yeah.
And he's, so I think he's probably battling a little bit. But then you look at some of the younger guys like Max Holmes, playing really well. Obviously, Graham Myers is having a great year, not that he's super young. So, I'm not going to jump off the Cats. They've got the best coach in the comp. I'm not necessarily concerned. But the Ds are looking good, and I think the Ds, they're just getting by at the moment. I think they've got another gear to go to as well, which I think is scary. I agree with you on the Giants. I was not a big Swans. I thought the Swans were going to make the 8 going into the year and maybe the 4, but I wasn't. But look, they've proved me wrong to date. They're looking really good, and like that midfield depth they've got. Like Luke Parker's still not playing at the moment, and amazing. They've got 5 or 6 of the best mids in the comp.
He's fit.
He may struggle. Yeah, he kicked.
My understanding is he's fit.
No, he's played 2 or 3 VFL games.
Yeah, so he may not. How's that? That's scary.
He may not get back in because of the nucleus, and you got Mills as well.
Can I be honest? I would play Parker half forward, or play him as the sub or something. Just having him in and around, I just think he'd be invaluable.
I said, look, I also said last week with Joey, with Lee Montagna, that I don't think Port can win it. Then they go to Geelong and win, but I still am not big on them. And then I think, look, the one team that's just hovering around is the Pies, because we all know they're eighth spot, but we all know that on their day they can beat anyone, and they're starting. Once they get some players back, they're a genuine chance too. So look, that's the premiership market. To answer the question as well, look, I'm not going to jump off the teams that I have, and I agree with your views on the Giants as well and the Swans. For me, it's sort of 4 teams, and I'm putting Carlton as like 4.5.
Yep.
So I think they can win it.
So what are you're saying? Geelong,
Melbourne, Sydney,
Giants,
and then Carlton are 4.5, and then it's the Pies, and I've kind of got Port, and I mean, are we even going to talk about Essendon? But they are up there, and they're having a good start to the year. So that's the look at that. Now, Brownlow markets.
By the way, I'd be similar because I would take Geelong out of my 4, and I'd probably have Collingwood in there.
Yep.
And I agree with you. Carlton's that one that sits on the peripheral a little bit because I just think that what we've seen when they
plenty of upside,
mate.
Yeah.
Couple of big key backs, including one of the best in the comp. Couple of big key forwards who have won the combined last 3 Colemans together.
That's last 4.
Genuine midfield.
Yep.
Like in terms of headline by 2 mega stars. Like so that may and they seem to have a bit of depth.
No, they do. They genuinely do. My only fear with them is I just kind of feel like if they were to play, say, the Cats again at the G in a final, I just feel like the good teams like the Geelong, the really professional outfits, take their chances and win games. And I still think if you said to me right now, it's a semi-final, Carlton playing Geelong, who do you back? I'd still take
probably
Geelong.
going to back you.
But again, who knows, right? A lot can turn or change before September. But the other market I wanted to talk about as well, obviously the Brownlow, the last market, because it's such a talking point. Look, we both are on Tom Green.
Yep.
But I was moved a little bit by the Caleb Sarong chatter that Joey Montagna gave us last week.
Great chat.
Thought that was really strong. Look, Sam Walsh will probably. I know he missed a few games early, but geez, he hasn't missed a beat in the 5 games that he's played. Clearly, Isaac Heaney is dominating as well. We haven't even discussed him, so it's very open at the moment. Are you like? Would you jump? Well, you're not going to jump off Tom Green because you're financially invested, but are you a bit concerned now?
I don't know if I'm concerned because I think that I look at their wins, and for the vast majority of those, he has been really good.
Yeah.
So I think that we're banking on the fact that Isaac Heaney is getting 3 votes in all of these games, and that now Isaac Heaney is not this prolific vote getter that's been like amazing for years. So he is known, but maybe there's a little bit of discovery around him and a Goulden or Warner or somebody is going to. We've seen before as well that touching the ball means more than goals and match winning and with umpires, and it shouldn't, but it does. So
we've also seen Lockie Neal win a Brownlow last year. So anything,
100%. So you can say exactly right. Lockie Neal winning the Brownlow last year when Bontempelli,
good friend of the show, Lockie.
Yeah, Bontempelli, Track, and Dacos had the years, and I think you sit down, you look and go. I think everyone would go, how does Marcus Bontempelli not win that Brownlow? And it would have been Days. It would have been Dacos, but the injury, obviously. I understand why, but my point is that you don't know what's going on with them, so definitely not. The ones, Sarong, yes. The other one for me, you mentioned, Walsh. Walsh was in his probably, it's going to be hard with the price now, but I had a little bit on Walsh when he was at a big price on the Betfair Exchange just a week after he came back. Because I'm like, hang on, there's still so much footy left. This is the guy that's going to get 2-3 votes in their wins.
Even in games that they've lost narrowly, and they have had a lot of close games, he probably still gets 2 because the umpires will look and they'll see that he had 33 and kick 1 and he was in everything. So, I think there's worse bets you get out than Sam Walsh.
But I'm happy with Tom Green. We'll see how I go in a few weeks. Yeah.
I'm happy with Green too. I'm just annoyed that I don't have anything in Heaney.
I have a bit going on outside of that, which I'm comfortable with.
I don't have anything in Isaac Heaney.
That can hurt you.
But so to put a bit of a bow on this,
yep.
In an alternate universe, a hypothetical, if you could make any changes knowing the information that you know right now, Brownlow premierships, would you jump on or off?
I'm comfortable with premierships, but Brownlow, I would love to have had Isaac Heaney at 8s or 9s because what is he now? So 4 or 5. So.
I'm comfortable with my spread of bets.
I think you've done this a lot better than me.
The price I got them at is the reason I'd be staying. If you said to me today, based on the body of work you've seen of all 18 teams, you get an even price of $18, so 17 to 1, $18 because there's 18 teams, and you can pick any player and any team.
Yep.
I reckon I'm still holding GWS, but maybe I look at it. I mean, just you're crazy not to, because the bottom line is this: unless the umpires are not watching the games, Isaac Heaney would be leading the Brownlow, and he's probably leading the Brownlow by a handful of votes. He probably is. And that's the bottom line, because there's no way that Gawn, who is going well in all the other polls, as a ruckman, he does poll as a ruckman, but he's not going to poll at the same level of accuracy as Heaney does. And I think that Merritt's the other one, but he has had a couple where he just won't be in the votes.
Yeah,
whereas Heaney is probably in the discussion every single game, apart from the Richmond game where they shit the bed.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Everyone has those sort of games. So I think you'd be crazy not to Heaney. But that being said, we are, Simon Marsh used to say this to me, so I'm on 3-1. He goes, we are a windscreen show. We're not a rearview mirror show. We look through the windscreen. We don't look through the rearview mirror. So I would be looking ahead and going, I think Tom Green is the exact sort of player. And let me ask you guys a question. I said this on Footy Form. How do you reckon the players went? How do you reckon Adam Kingsley went about? How do you reckon the chat after that performance on the weekend, after a few 3 or 4 losses and that? How do you reckon Adam Kingsley approached? Do you reckon he got him in and goes, hey guys, let's just maybe go to the movies and fucking just hang? Do you reckon that, or do you reckon the players got fucking scared within an inch of their lives?
Yeah, they're probably.
And Adam Kingsley will have them up and about. They will smash the doggies, and they will return to their winning ways. And I reckon Tom Green will be right at the forefront of that. So I'm
friend of the show, Tom Green.
Yeah, he genuinely is. I think Adam Kingsley would be.
Yeah, he would be too.
He'd have it in the headphones at the gym.
Yeah, he would.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. What better soundtrack would you want for pumping iron? But
there you go.
Before we started, that was good, very good, Wally. Before we started recording, I just wanted to throw this in. We asked for a couple of questions just on Instagram. There's a couple that I want to get to. I think it's always a bit of a fun exercise. Let's keep these short and sharp, Wally.
Great.
Because there's some good ones. The first one, before I ask it, I need to give a bit of an intro here because Charlie has asked, what's for dinner at Morgs? Now, people may not understand what that means, but what that means is next Tuesday, we are recording with the 100K boys, and I'm led to believe that they record their podcast at Morgs' house. So Charlie is obviously across the fact that we're doing this, and he's asked what's for dinner. Now, I have no idea what Morgs would be cooking us, but Wally, I want to ask you, what do you want to have for dinner? What should we be requesting?
So I can't have Mexican because we'll talk about that just later on, but my Mexican band starts Friday night, this Friday at midnight. So it can't be that. Look, there's 2 options here.
I want more slaving away, by the way.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's a grill master and he's going to do some steaks, or if it's more of he's a one-pot special or a slow cook guy. If it's
I doubt we're getting slow cooked.
A ragu or something.
I doubt
some
we're getting
nice stew.
Yeah, some pappardelle pasta with a bit
14
of
hours,
ragu.
14 hours
like
slow
that.
cooked type.
A butter lettuce salad on the side, something.
Just before he gets to work at 6 a.m. he starts it, and then when he gets home at 6:30.
Mate, I don't know. You can put a Japanese curry on and just let it simmer throughout the day. I would think, what is something that we can do? Mate, I would. Do you know what could be fun with the boys? Is just because I'm not expecting to cook, but I'm assuming we get a bit of takeout.
Yep.
I reckon some. Now, surely down there, they're in a suburban neighbourhood, just out in they're in the suburbs. We're going in the suburbs, aren't we?
We are.
Not in the city. We're in the suburbs, right? So as you and I have grown up in as well, and we know one thing about outer suburban Melbourne as opposed to inner Melbourne is that you get some of the more Australian-style traditional Chinese restaurants, which I fucking love. So I reckon that there will be one of those. That would be good.
I love how I asked this to be brief. I love how I asked this to be brief.
Some spring roll. We get some fucking lemon chicken and some beef and black bean. Maybe something like that.
Let's put that on the agenda for them.
So guys, let's get some Chinese take. I just don't have it anymore.
I
don't get it.
Thanks for the question, Charlie, though, that he's across what's going on, which we like.
But we'll take anything more.
The next one I'll address because the answer is obvious. This is from Zach Gibson, who's a big Saints man. He said, who wanted to drink more after the footy, Leggy or Wally? Well, clearly me, because we were fucking shit house. So that, as a Saints fan, I wanted that. I can also answer the next question from Flanners because he has said, who wore 26 for Richmond between 2005 and 2009? And that is Adam Patterson. That is our very own Adam Patterson.
There you go.
Why have we not got him on the show yet? Like, I mean, he was at the live.
We're building up.
Who? Flanners?
No.
No, Pato. No, we're building up the
Pato.
We're building up the enigma that is Pato. We're building. We could get him on whenever we want, but we're just trying to build and build and build, and then we'll get him on, and we'll hopefully break the internet.
Number 26.
He wasn't, and 34 for the Saints.
26 or 27?
26. Okay. This one's for you, Wally. Well, I think it's for you. Yeah. It's from Chris Bucock, friend of the pod and legal advisor. This is pointed to you because he's also doing dry May.
Yeah.
Does a dry month count if you have a day off, or are you just cheating yourself?
No, I think you're cheating yourself. But
That's deep.
I will take that and raise it this. I guarantee you now, I said this before we went on air today, Simon, that I've been fine. The not drinking has been fine. It's been so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And I've done it. I do it most years for a month. But the thing is that I've sort of committed to this session, and then we've sort of like gone, there's a bit of punishment with it. The no Mexican food for a month.
I knew it would.
The no Mexican food for a month, including having to have Taco Tuesday every week at my house and show evidence that I cooked it and took part in the table, wasn't allowed to eat it. That's going to crush me. So I'm telling you, we're no Mexican for a month. And the other thing is that I've stopped all the other shitty foods while I'm training. So it's my only fast food I allow myself is a Guzman Gomez burrito. Or a Mad Max burrito if Chadson didn't rip it away from me. So they're the only things that I allow myself. And so I can't have that for a month. So there's no sort of cheat meal either.
So you're saying are you wavering? Are you waning?
I think it's worse. 100%.
No, but are you starting?
One night of some drinks. No, I'll be pretty good. I'll do you know what I'm not going to do though? I was thinking about this. I'll do it because we have beers together. I'm not going to have beers. Even though I'm going to have some drinks, I'm not going to have beers. Any beers I'm having this month will be non-alcoholic beers with you.
Yep.
And the only time I've had them, I will be having. I'll just be drinking whiskey.
Okay.
That's it. No beers. So, I'm probably cheating. It's. What did he say it was cheating?
Does a dry month count if you have a day off, or are you just cheating yourself?
No, I'm cheating.
That's
myself.
deep.
That's
But very good, honest answer. Now, 2 more to go. I'll answer the first. You answer the second. Yeah. Both from Michael. First one is timeline on Honest Beers merch dropping. The short answer is we don't have a timeline. We'd love to do it, but we're not organised enough. We do have those hoodies that we wore for the live show. So we need to probably get on that. Michael, thanks for the question. Leave it with us. We'll maybe provide an answer in the next month or so when we're organised. And the last one is also from that same Michael, and this is for you, Wally.
Yeah.
And I'm actually intrigued with the answer. New segment. So it's more of a statement than a question.
Yeah.
New segment. Wally giving advice for Jack when he turns 18 and for the general punter.
I love that.
Oh, like a time capsule.
Yeah,
kind
time
of.
Yeah,
capsule.
all right. We'll start next week. You're on.
Yep.
100%. I'll start
Very
next
good,
week.
Michael. I think that's
Michael.
Right. Yeah.
Good name.
Yeah.
Good name.
Very much a good name. With a Y, though. Interesting. Lee. Yeah.
Cal.
Yeah, interesting.
That
he also goes by Kingy, so he's a good man. So again, thank you to all of the Honest Beers community for those questions. And we're moving on to something exciting, Wally, because we mentioned off the top, we had our stat-mate SGM win last week. And so we're going again, and we're zeroing in on Sydney and Carlton on Friday night this week in a couple of days' time. We're pumped. We're going to do an SGM. Yep. So you take us through your 2 legs, and then I'll go through my 2. All thanks to StatMate.
Yeah, absolutely. Powered by StatMate. Let's be honest, it's the only chance I've got to try and get any sort of winner. And even then, it's still a punish for me. All right, I'm going to start our SGM off with Chad Warner, but not for disposals. I got him to kick a goal.
Oh,
now this is interesting. There's a lot of Sydney, but they kick more goals than anyone. We know that they need
midfield goals.
Yeah, Carlton are happy to give up goals too, so I'm fine with that. But I looked, and there's a lot of players you could look at, but the price we're getting for him is quite good, and it will add some value to the multi.
Okay.
You're getting around the 140 to 150. But here's what he's done. He's kicked goals in 8 of his last 9 games.
Wow.
Okay. So he's only missed once this year. His last 5, obviously. He's also kicked them in his last 7 games at the SCG. So that tells me that the world, that's obviously where they're playing.
Yep.
So he's kicked him in the last 5. He's kicked him in 8 of the last 9. He's kicked him in the last 7 at the G. And so I'm looking at all of that and going, I should be getting a lower price than $1.40, $1.50. So that goes in.
Throw it in.
The other one for me, we're going back to the Sam Walsh well. This guy gets 30 plus for fun. It's what he does. He did it in his last 7 games.
Yep.
He did it in his last 4 games against the Swans. Here's what he had: 33, 34, 31, and 28.
Yep.
So he missed by 2 in one. The other 3, he cleared it comfortably in a couple of those. So I think for him, again, you're still getting a price 30 plus. He goes in.
Love it.
Really, really comfortable with those, mate. What are you adding?
So I was just flicking through StatMate. How easy is it to use, by the way? It was very quick to find the data that I needed. But my first leg is Errol Goulden to get 25. He's $1.50. The implied number is $1.01. But his last 6, he's cleared 25, and 7 of his last 8 he has. And Michael, in that one that he didn't get 25, what do you reckon he got?
24.
He got 24. So loves the SCG. He plays really well at home. I think Errol, and $1.50 is still a pretty good price for someone who's cleared it 6 in a row, right?
This is the whole thing. Is if you're seeing someone clearing 6 or 8 out of 9 or 7 straight, like $1.50 feels overs.
And Carlton are playing a little bit of a run with-ish type. It's either Kennedy or Hewitt every week. One of them's a sub and one tags. They've rotated the last 2, and I reckon that they go to Heaney. Yep. I don't think Goulden gets touched. He plays a little bit more outside anyway.
100%.
So that's what I reckon they want to bang kind of Heaney in the middle, and Goulden may just float. So let's put that in. And then the last one is Nick Blakey 20. It's $1.44, $1.25 implied. I reckon if not for that bad game he had against the Giants a couple of weeks ago at home, this implied number would clearly be different because that's tarnished him a little bit. But he got back to his sort of freewheeling and ball-winning ability against the Dockers last week, and I reckon he'll clear the 20 pretty easily. So, look, we put those 4 legs together in the same game.
Price, give me a price, Simon.
We get, and we're doing this for Sportsbet, but we get $4.20, but we get $4.50 with the power play. So, again, bit of value. Last week was around $5.40. We're giving you a $4.50 SGM. So, again, to reiterate, Warner, anytime goal scorer, Sam Walsh, 30, Errol Goulden, 25, and Nick Blakey, 20. And it's all thanks to StatMate.
Love it.
Walley, we are not drinking in May. We've said this ad nauseum, but what I guess what the opportunity has provided us is to really experiment with some non-alcoholic beers. Yeah. And you mentioned before we got the Capital Brewing Co. Non-alcoholic beer, and we just want you to give a little bit of a wrap, give a little bit of a review, and then as we mentioned last week, at the end of this month, we're going to put all 4 together, and you are going to rank them 4, 3, 2, 1. So tell us about this Capital Brewing Co. non-alcoholic beer that we're enjoying.
It's called Alkless, which is ALC-less. It's got a little... I'm just going the can because it's an interesting can.
It's a great-looking can.
Cans are like... I'm
going to post it now to our story, actually.
Yeah, definitely do. He's a superhero. His head is a can itself.
Yep.
He's got like a little... It's almost like a radioactive man, like Springfield Isotopes type sort of cross flower thing on his top. Cape, all of those things. He's pretty happy about life. So it's your Zero Hero, he's called. It's a Pacific Ale, which isn't usually my go, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But I've got to, like, it's not bad.
Yep.
It's not bad. We've had a couple off
drinking.
Camera, and I would say that this probably has those ones covered. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see when I rethink about how it goes up against the Peroni. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at 2 things here. I'm looking at how enjoyable is it to drink, bottom line.
Which is, this is enjoyable, by the way.
Okay. How enjoyable is it to drink? But like, shit, a solo's nice. Like a milkshake's nice, Kano. I love coffee, but it doesn't mean anything like beer. So how enjoyable is this to drink, but also how close is it to the beer it's trying to be? So we had Peronis last week, and then I can compare them. I've had many Peroni, believe it or not. I can compare that to a Peroni and go, okay, there, and also how nice is it? So creating a non-alcoholic beer that tastes okay is fine, but it also needs to taste somewhat like a beer.
This does.
So I'm pretty happy with it. Capital Brewing, mate, geez, they got a good logo.
They do. I'll tell you what I've hated in our time, and we did this together. I thought the Better Beer Zero non-alcoholic beer was fucking disgusting. I actually think Better Beer is not that good. Sorry, sponsorship's probably not going to come our way.
Isn't now, yeah.
But I feel like Better Beer, the full strength doesn't really taste much like beer because clearly it's
low carb, right?
And low calorie. That's
low calorie, which is like, and I'm okay. I can live with that.
They originally say it was 0 calories, which is which is impossible.
It could be 0 carb.
No, because they went down the non.
Can't be 0. It's not Coke 0.
They tried to go down the path of the and I don't think they could actually explain how it was.
I don't know. This feels
fabricated. So I think Pure Blonde was the low carb. That they were very much low on the calories.
They're low everything, aren't they?
They are.
I'm fine with the Better Beer because of what they're trying to do and be. And I'll give them this: their branding's fucking ugly.
It is. They just won that court battle against someone that said that their branding was similar to somebody else's, but that was all very odd.
But there you go. Well, let's not go back to court.
Let's not go back to that. But I just thought that the Better Beer non-alcoholic was that we had at the Orong was left a lot to be desired. And look, maybe it was that I had a bad taste in my mouth already with St Kilda's performance.
It tasted a bit better for me.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, so this will be in the mixer.
I love
this
it.
will be in the mixer for the top
I prefer
spot.
this to Peroni, I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm saying that.
I think this will definitely be in the mixer.
Can you just walk me through your criteria, like what you're thinking about ranking these on?
Two things are simple. How good is it? How enjoyable is it to drink? Like, am I actually gritted teeth through this going, I'm just trying to have a beer?
Like I was with the better beer on Saturday.
And then how close is it to the actual type of beer it's trying to be? So how close is it to a Pacific Ale? And I'll say this, that's more palatable than most Pacific Ales I've had. So next week we'll try a different one. And I'm just saying I'm working on trying to get a variety of beer that I cannot believe they make a non-alcoholic version of. But I don't want to put it out there and then if we can't get it. So I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm working with sources and suppliers and I'm networking. I'm doing
It's hard to get Walley on the phone at the moment because he's constantly on the phone with suppliers.
It's
fucking crazy. I saw a photo of him using 2 laptops at one point. I think it's all linked.
Yeah. Both his phones, Kano.
Yeah.
it was so.
Yeah.
Walley 2 phones.
Yeah. That's what they call him.
Yeah.
Walley, last segment of the week, and it's Honest List. We did it last week, and we're bringing it back. You had a great idea. Why don't we try and pick our favourite beer from each continent? Which is a great idea. Now, for those that want a little bit of education, there are 7 continents. We are going to go to 6 continents. Sorry to Antarctica, but I haven't had a beer from there. I don't even know if they make beers there. They probably do. Kane's looking it up.
Penguin Lager.
But I haven't. Penguin Lager, very good. But I haven't
Polar
had
Bear
it.
XPA.
Another little, I guess, thing to say here as well. Caveat, if that's the word. Africa we've included, but we both have admitted to having limited experiences.
We've only had 2 beers there.
We've only had 2 beers there, so we'll add that in.
Had plenty of South African vino. Though,
yeah,
Simon.
well that's the thing.
Very good one.
Unfortunately, we're just not going to be able to give too much from an African perspective, but we have sampled at least 1 or 2 each. So we'll throw that in there. But Wally, I think you should kick us off.
Okay.
No particular order. I've got my order, you've got yours. As long as we both speak to the same regions, then we should be fine.
I'll start with Africa. Now, Amstel Castle, they're the only 2.
Yep.
For me, look, neither blow me away.
No,
I probably
that's fair.
had more Amstels over the journey. And the one thing about the first time I had an Amstel, I had the ring pull.
Oh yeah,
like that, and it was ice cold out of an esky, so that gets the tick for me. It was a cool, fun experience, and I really enjoyed it. Okay. So, and I didn't know it was actually from Africa until you told me.
Yeah,
that was it. So,
I
didn't know it was going to be mixed. All right, we are going to go around to the west, and we're going to start in North America.
Yep,
and that's where we'll start. So, North America for me.
Intrigued by this because you've basically said you're a North American.
I love it.
Beer connoisseur.
I mean, like, I'm not going to go into I've like anywhere, beers on tap are better than bottles and cans and all of that.
Yeah.
You go and have beers. I've been lucky enough to have a lot of different beers in the States, and I reckon that there was one I used to love. It was called the Union Cattle Co. Pacific. A pale ale, Union Cattle Co. Union Cattle Co. was a bar, a steak restaurant with a mechanical bull and that in Hermosa Beach that had like their own brews, and it was their own craft brewery. So you could only get it there.
Very niche.
It was amazing, and I loved that. And then we used to go down to Nash's at Redondo, down the pier there at Redondo Beach, and they'd have like 70 different crafties and all of that. But I thought, do you know what? Let's peel this back a little bit and just go, hang on, let's just chill. Let's just go for the main ones. I'm going to call this out. In the US, I'm going to Canada, by the way, but before we do, in the US, there is nothing I love more than an ice cold bottle of traditional Budweiser paired with jalapeno poppers and wings at an Eastern state sports bar. It could be Boston, it could be New York, I don't care. I want to be on the East Coast there and absolutely annihilate buckets of them and wings and all that. But in Canada, they have some crackers. They have some absolute crackers. I want you to think clean, cold, nice beers. I want you to think Moosehead, Molson, Kokanee. But I'm going to give the one that is not it's not a small. There's plenty of these around. Any of these could have got it. But if you said to me, you're going to reach into the esky and you're going to pull out a beer from North America, what do you want it to be? I'm probably going to have the biggest smile on my face if I pull out a Labatt Blue. All right. That's not a Pabst Blue Ribbon, Simon, not to be confused with them at all. A Labatt Blue. It's a Canadian beer. It's one I really enjoy. Kano, when you see it, you'll go, oh, that looks like a sort of beer I like. There's a maple leaf on it. There's a bit of blue. It's lovely. Okay. All right. So
that's North America tick.
That's North America tick. Now we'll move to Central and South America.
Yep,
this was the easiest thing in the world for me. Ever since I was 18 and used to go to the Mexican Nachos Cantina with some mates and that, and we'd go down there and we used to drink Pacificos. And when we discovered Pacifico, because you can get Corona and Sols, and we discovered Pacificos, and we love Pacificos. And occasionally I'll go to that south of the wall, opposite precinct for get some. This is why it's gonna be hard. I won't go get a steak or a parma before the footy. I'll go to the Mexican joint
I don't doubt
and
it.
a couple of beers and get some tacos, maybe a burrito. We'll share some fucking quesadillas and some nachos.
Some memories.
But I will always go Pacificos.
Sure.
It turns me back every time I see the beautiful yellow label with the little fucking round lifesaver thing and the tree and all that. Anyway, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Kano's got it up there. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's it for me. We'll move then to Europe. This is where it started to get really hard. So I love Italian beers. I love German beers. Any German beer in a beer hall. You got a Hofbrauhaus or Porner or something like that. It's absolutely beautiful. I love Munich doing all that. Italy, the Menabrea is beautiful. Nastro Zero's over there, different to Peroni's here.
Yeah.
They're fucking amazing.
Way better.
You get the 440 or the 500ml Nastro cans. They're usually imported and they're ice cold. Yep. They're brilliant. Used to have a beer called Truma Pils out of Austria. Yeah. Loved the Pils on tap. But I will say this. My number one is also an Austrian beer. And also a quick shout out to any of the Eastern European Pilsners, nut style, Czech style Pilsner, all that as well. All of those, there's so many different beers. It could be for ages. Nothing out of the UK, Simon, which is probably no surprise. Do love a Guinness, obviously, in Ireland and that. But my number one is a beer. It's Austrian. It's called Schloss Eggenberg. Mate, this thing tastes like it was made from the purest waters of the most pure river.
Yep.
Like glacier style. They've used glacier water or something for this. And it's just so magnificent and easy to drink. And it's not complex because it doesn't need to be. It's just beautiful and clean and crisp. And that is actually from Graz in Austria. Do you know who was from Graz? Arnold Schwarzenegger's from Graz. I've been to Graz. Amazingly, yeah. He's actually from he's actually from a town called Thal, which is just on the edges of Graz. From Graz, they've got a museum of him there. So the Schloss Eggenberg is my number one.
Described as the cognac of beers.
Oh, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Like, there you go. The cognac of beers.
That's an incredible description.
It was better than champagne of beers. What's champagne of beers? There's a beer that's not a really good beer. What is it?
Miller High Life.
Miller High Life, the champagne of beers.
Gross.
The cognac of beers, obviously better. All right, so Europe's a big tick, and I feel vindicated from that. We're going to go to Asia there. Now, I want to just send a shout out to my favourite Yum Cha beer, Tsingtao.
Yeah, that was a shout out for me too.
It's a shout out, but if you're in the same continent as Japan, you're not winning alcoholic awards over Japan. Like they are. We're talking. It's not a whiskey segment. We'll do that another day, but let's talk Japanese beers. Now, there is so many. First off, Asahi, Kirin, Sapporo, when you have them imported or you have them over there, I understand. I haven't been to Japan yet. I will be going, but I haven't been to Japan yet. But I've had all of those imported. I've had the taps, and there was a bottle shop we used to get up, and do you know that Turak or Burwood Sales were up near Warrigal Turak Road?
It's Burwood Sales.
Burwood. They used to import the Asahis years and years ago, and you pay a premium from it. They're
great.
incredible.
It's one of the great bottlers there.
Absolutely, it is. So they're all great. However, they're playing one game, and then this is another game, and it's not checkers to chess, but Jesus, it's a big gap.
Yep.
Some of my favourites, malts, Hitachino, I love.
Yeah.
Orion, but not like cans of. You have to have it out of the tap. I don't even know if it's still there. There's an izakaya on, I believe it's Lonsdale Street, called Nihonshu, and I don't know if that's still there. I used to have Orion on tap, and I remember the first time I had it, it blew my mate Travie that was there with, Travie, good Saints man. Yep. And he's laughing. He goes, mate, this is like their Bud or their Vic. Like, this is their staple beer back in Japan. I'm like, it's amazing. And he goes, how good are their beers? And I remember getting hooked. My favourite Japanese beer, and so my favourite of the continent, is a beer called Yebisu. It's clean, it's crisp. You can drink about 1,000 of them. Yeah, I reckon if you see the can when Kano puts it up, you go, oh yeah, no, that one.
I was going to say, because I'll need to see that.
Yeah, and there is definitely a number of places that you can get it. Got the nice Yebisu gold there. You'll see. Yeah, so that's it. And then lastly, Simon, we moved to Australia. This is probably the hardest because I think I've had more Australian beers than a beer from, like, I would have had so many different European beers, but I think I'd still have more Aussie beers than any other continent, maybe any other combined. So I just thought, like, the craft and do we go down that? And everyone's like, oh, you don't want to do, like, what about this one? And yeah, it's cool to have a beer that no one's heard of and all that, and that's great. And you can only drink half of one because they're so weird, or one tastes like a fucking pineapple or a raspberry or a kumquat or something. That's all fine. And then there's others that like are, just good craft beers like the St Andrews Brewery stuff, the Bolters. There's a number of great beers. Capital, great beers. But I said, if I'm going to do this, it has to be a CUB beer. They own beer. So can't breweries. So I go, is it a Vic? Vic, I used to love Vic. Vic lost me when they went from 4.9 to 4.8, then 4.6, then back to 4.9.
I still love it though.
Yeah, I know, it's fine, but it was all over the place. Yeah. And like I'd moved away from it. I couldn't come back. I thought, no, it can't be that.
Love a hand grenade though.
They are great. I think they've got a low carb version now. So they got the red, which is the super strong one. There's a black one. I'm pretty sure it's a low carb version or low calorie or something, which is hilarious. And they make it like an aftershave, which is fucked. Anyway, and
that
then
product fucking sold though.
What?
That aftershave product sold like crazy.
It would. Yeah. It would. Of course it would. Draft off the tap, maybe the best tap beer on the planet. Like, it is so good.
I'd say best drink on the planet.
Yeah, it could be. But the one for me, that never, ever, ever lets me down. And it can be ice cold off a tap. It can be ice cold in a stubby. It may be best in can form, and that is a Melbourne bitter. I had Melbourne bitter.
I love Melbourne bitter.
And my wedding, do you remember we had Melbourne bitter at my wedding?
Fucking
so I had Melbourne bitter, like it was not, and it was not that, like it was not that sort of wedding.
Slug and I almost needed to be removed from the wedding.
I know. We had like we had all the nice stuff, and then I go, I want Melbourne bitter cans, just because it's just gorgeous. A little bit, it's acceptable now.
Yep.
He goes, do you want us with the King Brown long necks and pouring? I said, no, mate. Get us the ice cold cans. And I said, they've got to be ice cold.
Yeah.
So you put them in the ice, and then you turn the fridge down to 2. It's not cold enough. Turn it to 1. Like, it needs to, they got us so cold.
Bit of Connor Roy at any event that he arranges in Succession was you at your wedding about like the ice cold beers. Remember the episode where the butters isn't melted enough? That was like you with the ice cold beer.
Massive.
That was very good. Look, I'm excited to say, Wally, we have not agreed in any continent.
That's so good.
That is very rare.
I mean, you'd agree with something like...
No. When I say we
Melbourne.
agree, we haven't got the same one. So, look, I'm a simple soul with my beer. This list is going to be uninventive, uninspiring. It's just going to be the stuff that I like. I made a decision quite a few years ago that I just don't like pale ales anymore, or craft beers. I don't really bother. I don't bother with it anymore.
No need for it.
But starting in Africa, just as you did, I went Castle. Yep. So I went the other one that we've had. And it's the only reason I put it in there is because it's like the only beer that I could really think of. They sponsor the South African cricket team as well. And I've had probably 2 of them in my life. So throwing that in there, not very exciting, not very inventive. If we were to move across to South/Central America, I don't believe you mentioned this in yours, but it's the Modelo for me.
Yeah, it's a great beer.
It's just, again, there's a bit of
questionable bottle.
I don't mind the bottle.
It is weird.
I like the little and like the thick kind of stubby that, I don't know, I like it. I like seeing it. I like having it. I just enjoy it. It's more of like a light lager.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Is how I would describe it.
It's like the foil wrappers.
Yeah, it is the foil wrap can.
That loses points for me on that.
No, but it's different. Like different for us.
Yeah,
it might be not different in other regions, but for us.
Oh, it is, yeah.
So I'm throwing in the Modelo, but I agree with your Pacifico, great beer as well. I was going to joke and say Corona and just see what you said, with a bit of lime and just to see what you'd say.
AJ.
100% AJ. This North American selection, you actually referenced, but you didn't reference it. So guys, just again, like I said about me being a simple, you can talk about Sierra Nevada Pale Ales, and you can you can take me to all those bars you mentioned, and if you want to wine and dine me, Wally, and you know, see if anything might happen between us later on, you can mention all those, but I won't be impressed.
No.
I am a simple soul when it comes to beer, and I've got the Pabst Blue Ribbon, baby. I've got it in there. I don't.
That's great.
I remember one.
It's the best can. It's the
best
fucking
looking
elite
can.
looking can.
Okay, so because it looks so good, and I've seen it in so many TVs, it's the only beer that I smash after I drink. So I think in The Wire in season 2 on the docks with the Polish guys, I reckon they're all drinking the Pabst Blue Ribbon. I remember a night in New York in 2015. Shout out to David Hunter, a friend of the show. We had we had a few monsters that week, but with this one particular monster, we were at a bar, and I reckon they were like $3 Pabst, and maybe even $2. And he and I just kept going and going and going, and would have had 100 of them. And I crushed every single one. So that's why I'm throwing that in there. Again, a little bit more sort of, an experience in a moment.
Right.
That's more exciting for me. Moving on to Europe. I am going to go to Italy, and I have selected the Menabrea. When I go to Italian restaurants, the Menabrea is quite often what I select over, as you mentioned, the Peroni and all the other different options. But I wanted to give a shout out to a beer that's close to our hearts.
Yeah.
And that's the Kronenberg. The 1664.
1664.
It's an underrated European beer. I believe French. It has to be French.
Yeah.
It's not German, it's French.
No, it's French.
It is French, yeah. Incredible beer. Again, different kind of cans. Different stubbies, slightly different. And we have celebrated a finals victory at your house, I remember.
We did, yeah.
Which was exciting. But yeah, the Menabrea is my selection, but I just wanted to shout out the Kronenbergs because whenever I see it somewhere, I have it. Like it's one of those. It's like
good on tap.
Great on tap.
Yeah.
So
good
shout out to the Kronenbergs. Asia, similar to you, I went to Japan, but geez, the Tsingtaos, they nearly dragged me in.
Yeah.
I just love a Tsingtao when I go to a dumplings, or a yum cha restaurant, whatever it might be. But I've gone, and it has to be freezing cold. But I've gone a freezing ice cold Sapporo.
Yeah, Sapporo's great beer.
I love it. I prefer it to Kirin.
Yeah,
I do prefer it to Kirin. It's a better beer. So I've selected that for my Asian selection. And now, Wally, I don't know why I said Oceania. I don't know whether the technical term is Australia or Oceania.
It's Oceania.
It is Oceania. So that could have actually increased the region.
And then come straight back into Australia very quickly.
But I've just gone with Australia. And you said Melbourne Bitter. Look, one of my favourites of all time. Not my number one, but love it. Love it in can form, love it in stubby form, love it in long neck form, love it on tap. I'll drink it. I love VP. I love the hand grenades. But it's obvious for me. Yeah. I said it. It's Carlton Draft, but it's not only that. It's a Carlton Draft off tap.
Brewery fresh.
You said it's the best. I think it's the best drink for me. Like, we've talked about this before with Simon's Choice. If you could lose this or you could lose that. And I'm very strong on my Carlton Draft and off tap. It's just a schooner of Carlton Draft is probably and this is what I'm missing the most. This is what I'm missing the most during and all of this chatter is making me miss it more.
Screw your draft, thanks, mate.
When we were at the Orong on Saturday and I was seeing, I got there probably 5 minutes before you and I was just sitting and I was seeing guys were smashing beers before they went to the Ammos game down the road and they were getting in the schooners and they were getting them down quickly and they just look ice cold and crisp and I was like, fuck, I miss that. So it's Carlton Draft, but it's Carlton Draft off tap. It's a schooner in schooner form. It's as good as it gets. So they are my definitive beers from each continent. Shout out to Antarctica. If they have a beer, we're willing to try it. We just don't know if they do.
Very good, mate. That was elite.
That was good.
I'll say this. You're right on draft, but the only thing with draft is this. I do not enjoy draft in a can or a bottle at all.
I don't mind it in a stubby.
Yeah, it's maybe a stubby ice cold. I'm just, it's got to be. It's just I don't know. And it can at least somewhere as Melbourne Bitter. I'm weirdly. I would always prefer. I genuinely think I would prefer Melbourne cans over Melbourne stubs or Melbourne on the tap. I think Melbourne cans are so good.
I love Carlton in a stubby though. I'll still drink that. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, they're that glass, don't you?
Shout out to Pabst Blue Ribbon.
How good's that? Don't they make I reckon Pabst Blue Ribbon do a 96 can like tube that you can buy at Costco.
Doesn't shock me. Doesn't shock me. Imagine crushing all 96 of them on a weekend. How good. But look, Wally, we must move on. Looking forward to another weekend of footy.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing how our stat mate multi goes. And look, mate, you were great again. Thank you as ever. And of course, go Hawks.
Go Hawks!